Welcome to the Naples Mac User Group Wednesday meeting. Kelly, you're in Oregon, right?
I am.
Right. So it's, by the way, it's 3 hours earlier where she is, so it's 8:30 in the morning, and I'm sure she's been up since 5 a.m. getting ready for this meeting. So,
Well, I've been up since 4, but it was for a different reason.
Anyway, we're thrilled to have you here today, and Kelly's going to talk about TextExpander. So you can go ahead and introduce yourself, or whatever way you feel comfortable approaching it.
Okay.
Welcome.
Well, first of all, hi everybody.
Hi. Say hi to Kelly. Hi.
Hi.
And I want to point out that, first of all, I can't see any of you, so it's going to be up to George to let me know if someone has a question. And I absolutely want, if you have a question, to go ahead and ask, go ahead and interrupt me. I don't want to sit here and lecture, so I definitely want it to be interactive. So if I show you something that doesn't look quite right, or you want to see it again, just put your hand up and let me know, because I definitely want to make sure that I'm giving you information that's actually useful. So to begin with, I'm going to do a rousing round of fun with Skype and see if I can figure out how you share your screen these days. Here we go. All right.
By the way, Skype just came out with a whole new program, so it's a little confusing at this point in time.
I'd say it's a lot confusing. They shuffled a lot of stuff behind extra menus and things that I use all the time, so it's like a treasure hunt almost to have to track it down. So I'm going to put TextExpander over here on the screen. And I'm going to start at the very beginning. So if this turns out to be something where I'm telling everybody a bunch of stuff they already know, then we'll go ahead and skip ahead. George, I'm going to have you eyeball the crowd for me. Who sitting in the room right now is already a TextExpander user?
What was that?
Who is that?
Who already uses TextExpander in any way?
Anybody? We got one. Any more than one?
Repeat the question,
Two,
please.
do you use TextExpander?
Do you use TextExpander?
Okay.
Anybody else besides Marilyn? Oh, we got another arm back there. Eckhart. So two out of 100.
Okay. So I don't think I'm going to be going over anybody's head then by starting at the very, very start.
No. I don't think that'll be a problem.
All right. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you what TextExpander actually can do for you. So in order to show that off, I'm going to talk to you a tiny bit about the application itself. It's a program that you're running on your computer. We offer a version for macOS, a version for Windows, and a version for iOS. So any of these can be available to you on any of those platforms. So if you look at this one, for example, right now I'm signed into our demonstration account. So this is Sherlock Holmes's TextExpander account. So here's Sherlock's email address, physical address, and the way this works, if you look down here at the bottom, there's a label that says Sherlock address. So this is his physical address where he lives. And then there's an abbreviation of QADD. So what I can do is I can take a plain old text document like this, and if I need to put my address in it, if I type QADD, it spits out the address for me. Everybody with me so far?
Does everybody understand?
Yes. Is that pages? Is she in
No.
pages?
She used, what, 3 letters? and the whole thing, the whole address popped up.
It doesn't matter.
She wanted to know if it's in pages. You
Wait a
can do.
minute, any questions?
Oh, this is just TextEdit. It works in any place that you can copy and paste text, this will work. So I'm using TextEdit because it's plain and I can take a nice large font and drop it in there and have it look readable on the screen. So I can do this in an email program or on a web form or any other place where you can paste text in. Okay, so I'm going to show you how you make a snippet in TextExpander. So in this window, first of all, we'll talk for a second about the window here. This main area is what we call the editor. And you can see that my content is set to plain text. The reason you want to set your content to plain text most of the time is because you don't always know where that text is going to go. For example, we're about to make a snippet for Sherlock's email address, and you never know where you're gonna need to use that. It may be in a text document, it may be as part of an email message, it may be in a web form, you're on your phone trying to fill something out. So generally you want your snippets to be plain text because then when you end up using them in another document, they take that same formatting. So this is the main, so like I said, this is the main TextExpander window. Down here at the bottom, we talked about these. This is a label, which is what shows up over here in the sidebar. If I make this sidebar a little bigger, you can see we have a little note kind of on the left-hand column where you can see what those things are called. And then we have the abbreviation, which is what you actually type in order for that to show up. So we're going to create a new snippet for Sherlock. And we do that by clicking the plus, going to new snippet, and you'll see it's completely blank here. So we're going to type in Sherlock's email address. And so there's his email address. So I can put here, Sherlock email. And then we're going to call this, the other one was QADD for address. So we're going to call this one QEML for email. So now, if we come back over here, and I type QEML, it automatically spits out his email address. Now the other thing I will tell you is that part of the reason that these particular snippets start with a Q is because that makes it very easy to use if you're using TextExpander in more than one place. Think for a minute about typing things on your phone or on your iPad. When you do that, a lot of people used to use a semicolon to start your snippet abbreviation or a backslash, some of those in the demo snippets. And you can do that, but if you're using TextExpander on mobile regularly, then you don't want to have to switch to that other keyboard in order to get the punctuation and then switch back in order to type. So the easy way to fix that is to just use a letter in the first place. So a lot of people who spend a lot of time using TextExpander on the mobile device will use Q or two Qs or two X's in a row because that's not something you would normally type. So you don't end up accidentally expanding snippets in the middle of a word that you're trying to type. So, for example, if I were to change the abbreviation on Sherlock's email address to just email, right, the word email, then when I come over here and I say, please reply with your email, I can't type the word email because it's already going to give me something else instead, which is why you want to make sure that you build your abbreviations to be something that you won't normally type so that you don't have that problem. In this case, I'm just using an email address, which is a very short thing, but you can have a TextExpander snippet that's paragraphs of information, and you certainly don't want that to show up in the word that you're trying to type.
Kelly,
Yes.
is there any size limit to the text? How many characters it can be?
Do you mean the abbreviation or the snippet text?
The snippet text.
I know that I have them that are paragraphs long. I know that there are lawyers who have entire generic, like legal boilerplate in snippets. So I think there's at least a couple that I've seen that are many, many pages long. Like if you were to print them out, it would be many, many pieces of paper in order to do that. So you can put quite a lot into a text expander snippet.
This looks like what used to be called macros.
These are still called macros. We do have some that are macros because we have certain things that will perform a particular function. So we can talk about those in a minute. I think someone read ahead and is keeping it into the parts that are.
No.
Okay. Any other questions while we're here answering questions?
Nope.
Okay. So, as I said, you can have a very small snippet like this one here, it's just an email address. And you can also have longer snippets. We've got one here that's an example that's a slightly longer snippet. So here's a very basic snippet. This is a letter that our friend Sherlock has to send regularly. So we're going to walk through a little bit of what this actually does. Because when you look at it, you'll see a few different things in there that don't look quite like regular text. So what we're going to do is, just a second here, I'm going to get a new email. I want to get a blank email message to bring over here so you can see. And so we're going to send this to Watson. And in the subject line, I'm going to type my abbreviation, which is /Sherlock. And what happens is it doesn't realize I'm using a second monitor. So it pops up this little snippet window here. So it shows the name of the subject line. There's date, which is today's date. And I can put someone's name in here. Maybe I don't always address this to Watson. Maybe I send it to someone else. So I'm going to put Watson in here. And then here's a couple of paragraphs of text. And I can choose from here 3 different options for what it is. What the letter says is, I need some stuff, can you send it to me? And then what exactly Sherlock specifically needs. Whether it's pill and a magnifying glass and a lockpick kit, just the magnifying glass and lockpick kit, or just the lockpick kit. So we're going to say we need everything. And then I'm going to click OK. And it should spit everything out for me. Thanks, live demo. So what I want to do is I want to walk through what this actually does. We're going to go ahead and close this message. And as you see here, we'll start at the very top where it says requested, and then this key tab. One thing TextExpander can do for you is insert certain keystrokes. And you can see there's a keyboard right here, and if you click on the keyboard, here's the options that you have. So for example, if you send the same email regularly with the exact same subject line and then the body of the email, then what you can do is set this up and put a tab at the end of the subject line, and it will automatically advance down to the body of the email and then put in the rest of your email, and it will save you typing the subject line as well. If you fill out web forms regularly, so you have to put, name in a field, address in a field, something else in a field, something else in a field, something else in a field, and you fill out that form all the time for different requests or whatever it might be, then you can set that up with name tab, address tab, email tab, whatever the information is, and you can fill that out and have it spit that information into the right places all the way down. You can have line break entered as well if you have different pieces of text where you need to make sure that you've got a good line break in there. You can sort that out. And you can also use the contents of the clipboard, which is a snippet I use constantly. This is a feature of TextExpander that I use all the time. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And then you also have the option of creating a snippet that uses another snippet inside it. So let's say, for example, you have a lot of different snippets that include your email address or your phone number. Then if you create a snippet, has your email address or your physical address, your phone number in it, and then that changes, all you have to change is the original snippet that you built, and then when you use these other TextExpander snippets, they will go call that original one, and when you make that update, you've updated it in all of your snippets. And then you don't have to go find all the ones that have your old phone number in them and enter a new phone number. You only have to update it once. Everybody with me so far? Here it's pretty early, so I want to make sure everyone there keep it up.
Once you adjust your snippet or your text, it'll change it back everywhere else that you've used it.
If you use the insert snippet, so if you have, say you have 5 different email messages that you send out, and at the bottom of each of those is, if you have any questions, please call 555-1212. Then if your number changes, and now your number is 555-1213, instead of having to go back to all of those snippets and change it at the bottom, if you're using a snippet for phone, then you go find your phone snippet, update it, and then when you use those email messages, it's going to go, I'm expanding this other snippet over here, and when it goes and gets it, when you update that one, you've updated everything, because they're all referencing that original snippet. I know a number of people who have set these up when they moved. So I have a snippet with my email address in it, or my physical address in it, I mean. And when I have to go fill out all the address change forms, like I have my old address and I have my new address, and I can fill those out over and over and over again for updating all the bills and filling out paperwork or changing different things and getting bill forwarded and all of that. It makes it a lot easier, especially if you are in the process of moving and maybe don't have your new address memorized yet. You can still get all that stuff done because you go look up the new address like one time and put it in TextExpander, and then you're set. And when you go have to fill out all of those things and change addresses everywhere, it's not as hard to do because you have that information stored already. And you can verify, make sure you spelled your address right and that the zip code is the right number and all those sorts of things. And then you know every time you use that snippet, it's correct. Everybody with me?
Yep.
Okay. I can't see if anybody's nodding or if anybody just looks really confused. So I want to make sure everybody's...
No, everybody's
We're
with
not
it.
nodding off.
What was that, Don?
I say we're not nodding off.
Okay, good. So the next thing I want to talk about, now that we've talked about the key presence here, is this bit here, which is the date. And the reason I want to talk about that is because this is also a very handy snippet. I use this almost as often as I use the clipboard content. So if I click up here on this little eyeball, I can preview what my snippet that I built here, this letter from Sherlock, actually looks like. So I can see here, it says SEP, not September, and it's not 9/6/18. So we're gonna play with the date a little bit, so I'm gonna create a new snippet. So new snippet, and then the abbreviation on this one is gonna be the date. So if I come up here and I click on this little calendar, I have a number of options available to me that I can use to build the date. So sometimes maybe what I want is just numbers and flashes. And maybe I have to do it the way the rest of the world does it. So I have to go day, day, month, year. So, or perhaps I have some other particular format I want to use for my own filing. When I have stuff that needs to be timestamped, the way I do it, it's biggest to smallest. So I go year, and then month, and then day. So I can go with the full year, or I can go with just 2 digits of the year. So I'm going to go with the full year. And then I'm going to put a dash in there, just a little hyphen. And then I want the month, and I can have the month be 01 or just 1. And I can have the abbreviation for the month, or I can have the full spelled out month. In this case, I just want the number, but I do want it to have the 0 in front. So I'm going to choose that one, another hyphen. And then I want the day to be also, if it's a single digit, I want it to have a 0. So I will go like that. If I come over here to the preview, what I get is 2018-09-26. So year, month, day. Looks good to me, so that's what my system looks like. So now, if I ever, when I have receipts to file, or I have bills come on a particular day, and I want to make sure that I have a date stamp for those, I can build that date stamp however I want. Now I can also go in here, and I can make these flashes if I want to. And click preview again, and I get, let's see, the backslash in between the dates instead of the dashes. In a file name, you have to use dashes, which is why that's where I started. And you can also make it something entirely different. So maybe all I really want is the full month, and then a space, and then the full day. So I can click preview, and I get a Wednesday in September, if that's what I want to do. Now, where the magic comes in with using the date snippets is date math. Now, I will show you very quickly before we get there. We also have the same thing with time. So I can have a timestamp as well as a date stamp. It's important to have a specific time that something happened, like minutes and seconds, or hours, minutes, seconds. You can set that up in here as well. So I can say I want, we have 24-hour time as well as 12-hour time. And you can have that, again, with the leading 0, without. So I'm going to say without, I'm going to say 12-hour time. And then I'm going to add the colon and the minute. And if I preview, there's the time here, right now. And where this becomes useful.
We have a question.
Yeah.
Bill.
Kelly, I assume you're getting this from your calendar or the clock.
Yes.
If you file that with a snippet embedded in the file and open it at a later date, are you going to get the today's date, or are you going to get the future date?
I see what you're asking. What you would get, so like if I preview this again, so here's, and I'm going to add the AM, the AM, PM, the end of it. So let's say I wanted to save this file, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna put some text in here, and this is desperately important information that I'm typing, and I need to save it. So if I hit save, and I go the date, all it's doing is spitting out that timestamp for me, and that's gonna be part of the file name. So when I go open this again later, it's gonna say 8:59 a.m. It doesn't get updated later. Was that your question?
Well, you know, if you want to file a document that you're going to send out, you want to have the date you sent it on the document.
Uh-huh,
And so I want to secure that for future posterity.
so then what you would want to do is you would want to have the date on your document. So let's say we want it to be January, let's see, whatever the date is, we're going to go comma space, we're going to give it the full year. Let's take a look. So there it is. So in Sherlock's letter, you'll see here that we've got that at the top. And so when I come over here and try and use that snippet, when I click OK, and it fills in, you'll see the date right here. And if this was an email, for example, and I sent this email, it would say September 26th on the day I sent it. And so that doesn't change. Once it's pasted into the document, it's just like any other piece of text in the snippet. So if you used this in a document and saved that document, it would always have that, whatever the date was you put it in. If you open that document later, it doesn't know that this came from a text expander snippet. So it doesn't get updated automatically.
Okay, so the snippet is always going to be contemporary, but
Yes,
but the production of it will be fixed.
correct.
Okay.
Output is whatever it was when you used it.
Yeah. Oh,
So if I sent this tomorrow, it would say September 27th, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah.
So if you sent that again, you would send it with the snippet place as opposed to copying
Yes.
and pasting.
Yeah,
Right.
right. So if I were to do exactly the same thing tomorrow and use the same snippet, then it would say September 27th tomorrow.
Yes.
So here's the other thing that makes the date math piece useful. Here's the date. And I can use date, what we call time and date math on this. So if I come up here to the little calculator, you'll see that I can add years, months, days, hours, minutes, seconds, or subtract any of them. So let's say that Sherlock, who is a consulting detective, occasionally has to bill people, right? So we're going to make a new snippet. And the label is going to be payment. And we're going to make it Q pay, so that we remember what that is. It's going to say, hello, please, let's say, please pay the amount agreed upon. It is due, let's say, 15 days from today. And then, I don't know what 15 days from today is. There's a whole month change in the middle, and how many days are there, and when does everything turn over to October 1st? So I'm going to let TextExpander do that math for me. So if I come up here to the year, I can say, so I want it to be human readable. So I'm going to say January then we'll say, it doesn't have to be 0, 1 if it's a single digit, so we'll just make it this. And then I'm going to put a period, and then I'm going to add the calculating of add day, and you'll see it added 1 day there. And so what I want to do is change that 1 to 15. And now when I preview this, it is due 15 days from today, September 9th. I think I clicked on the wrong thing. Go January. I don't need time. All right, let's preview that. We'll say which is space, we add the day, and then we say add a day, make it 15. And when I preview, why is this still giving me September? Okay. Well, in real life, what it would do is it would calculate 2 weeks from today and give me that separately. So you can also say 2 weeks ago, and you can use a minus 15 at the same time. So I think, I'm not sure why that isn't working. I'm going to have a very interesting conversation when I get into work this morning. So one other one that I can show you very quickly is the clipboard snippet that I talked about earlier. We're going to make one more new snippet. And we will call this clipboard. So cube flip, we'll say. And let's say that I have some piece of information that I have to show regular. There's some piece of information that I need. For example, one that I use a lot doing tech support is registration information. So I have to send people license numbers a lot. Their email changed or something happened and they can't get it looked up properly. So I have to send those to people. In order to do that, I have to go look that up in our system, make sure that I can find it under their email address or their old email address or whatever that might be. And once I find it, I have to be able to copy that. I have to copy the information out, and then I have to paste it into the system that I have to paste it into the email for them so that they're able to get that information, from me. So let me go look someone up really quick. I'm going to look up me. And let's say the one that I really need, my disk label serial number. I don't, but let's say I did. So what I would do is I would go over here to the keyboard and I would use clipboard. And then let's say since this is registration, so here's your information. Let me know if you have any trouble registering. So I'm going to come over to the screen that you guys can't see. And I've looked up my information, and I'm going to copy the part that I need. And then when I come over here and I type qclip, instead of clipboard, it put in the part that I copied, which is my name and my serial number out of our lookup system. So if you have something that you have to go look up and then use as part of a message, or there's something that you have to get from one sort of system and then you have to put it into another sort of system, using the clipboard is a very easy way to do that. Because a lot of people copy and paste things back and forth in different ways all day long. So, everybody good with that one?
Yeah.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
If you have a document that you're going to be sending out regularly, like an email or something, and you save it as a template to use in some kind of text document, do you keep the snippets in there, or do you add them when you get ready to send it? In other words,
Keep them in where?
well, suppose you have an email and you have a snippet in there, you have a shortcut in there to put the date in,
Mm-hmm.
the current date. So I have this email, I'm going to send the same email the next day to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to my template where I have my typical email. Do I have the snippet already saved in there and just bring it up and then it'll bring up the correct date? Or do I have to put the snippet in for each time I send it? In other words, is it saved and then used? Or do you have to add it if you're sending something that you've saved?
Okay. Once you build whatever you want your snippet to look like, in here, for example, once you have what your email is going to look like, right, then you just hit home, or I mean, you just hit home, because I'm reading the sidebar. You just use that snippet wherever you want to use it. So let's say that this was actually a blank email. Then I can type anything in here that I want to. So if I wanted to use that letter here, for example, the one that we talked about before, I can do that here, even though it's not an email. It's meant to go out as a message, but I can just put that in here. I can use any of those other snippets. So like we had Q email, I think it was. So here's keep pay. I can use that one, which gives us the snippet. So here's the thing: is that once the like we were talking about before, once the text is pasted in here, it just becomes a document, and it's just the text that you wanted. What Text Expander does is give you the opportunity to work on that text and adjust that text exactly how you want it to look, and make sure that there aren't any typos, that it's formatted properly with all the line breaks where you want them, that everything is contained in that message the way that you want it to be. And once that's done, then you can, it makes it much easier to sort of paste that text into wherever you want it to go. So let's say that you have this email that you send regularly, but it's in a Word document or a Pages document somewhere. And what you do is you go to that document and you select all of this and you copy it, and then you go over to your email program and you paste this into the email. Instead of having to do that, Text Expander makes it so that you can use this little abbreviation and do it this way instead. And then all it does is lay out this text for you. Now, if you look at it and it turns out that you actually want something else in there, you can just go in here and make a change. If I want that to be a different word that I am actually able to type, and then it's still just plain text that you can then spit out in any document that you want to be using.
Okay, so you're not really saving it as text, you're saving it as a snippet.
Yes.
And then its output is text.
Now, right, but when, for example, if you had that, that's your snippet, and then you send that out tomorrow, will your date automatically change because you had another snippet inside that snippet?
Yes.
Okay.
The snippet I'm using is today. So whenever I write the snippet, it's going to use today's date.
Okay, so it's like you have September 26th in there. So tomorrow, when you go and open that snippet, wherever you want to put it, that date will change.
Yeah, tomorrow it will be the 27th.
Because you have an inserted snippet in that snippet.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so this is, in this particular snippet, what this one gives me is today. And so whatever day I use it, like when I did this demo a week ago, then it gave me a date of September 19th.
Got it. Thank you.
So whenever, yeah, you have a particular date that you want to make sure is in there in some way, that's how you sort it out. And that's what makes it handy. One of the things that I like about this is that I can save information that's date relevant very easily. Because sometimes all I need is the month of the day. Sometimes I want to add the year. So like if I have receipts for things throughout the year that, you know, I bought something online, they emailed the receipt to me, I can save that receipt as a PDF and I can use a text expander snippet for the date in that. And that makes it very easy for me. I don't have to go find it in the email and make sure I type it correctly. I just can use a snippet and it will add the date to that file name for me easily, and then I can file that however I want to file it. Filing PDFs and making sure all your receipts are in order is a whole other talk.
Any question?
Yeah, question. Suppose
Yeah.
you wanted your output to, the font to be, say, bold or underlined or italic. Can that be done? You know,
It
certain
can.
words or sentences.
Right, so if you look up here, you'll see that this content is formatted text and pictures. And you'll see that there's an additional line of information up here that you can use to format your text. So maybe I'm really trying to butter somebody up to get them to send me my stuff. So maybe what I want to do is make dear bold, for example. So I can use bold. The thing that you can run into trouble with text expander in particular is that if you're using formatted text, you'll notice that this is, it's not showing me which font I have here, but it's probably Helvetica. It's either Arial or Helvetica because those are generally the only ones I use. So let's say it's Arial, and let's say I make it 14 point, and let's say that I'm going to put this into an email, but the default font information in my email is, this is Arial, so in my email, let's say maybe it's Helvetica, it's 12 point. So sometimes in certain applications, depending on how helpful the application that you're using wants to be when it comes to including formatting as part of the message, you can end up getting something that doesn't look like what's it. So in that case, what you want to do is not, you want to make that look this little, you want to build it in here. What you want to do is you want to go to your ink program or to Pages or whatever you're using, and you want to put all that information in here, for example, and then make the format what you want it to be. And then once you set all of this up how you like it, then you want to copy from wherever, like once it's laid out how it should look, everything is clear, you've got link in the text that you want to have show up, you've got the bold, the italic, how you want it to be, then what you would want to do is create a new snippet, get formatted text, and then paste that in here exactly how it looks from your original program. So if you have an email signature that you need to look a particular way, for example, go over to your email program, make it look exactly how you want it to look in your email, and then copy out your email and paste into a formatted snippet text expander. And then all of the general that information can be preserved. And then that way when you use that email signature in your email program, it will look the way it should. Particularly if you're using Microsoft applications, they try very hard to be very helpful about pasting, formatting, and font information, and it doesn't usually end up being as helpful as you want it to be. So it can end up causing you some difficulty. The font size is always points bigger, points smaller, and it never looks quite like the rest of the message. So for something like that, where you know most of the time it's going to go into an email, you make sure that you lay that out in your email first, and then add that to text expander from there. Make sense?
Thank you. No, so it's not easy.
That's pretty easy. You only have to build it the one time. Just get look how you want in Outlook, for example, or if it's a particular document, look how you want it to look in Word, and then copy that and paste it into text expander instead of what we were doing to start from absolute zero with blank snippet, like this one here, where we typed in the information and did up of it here. You would just use whatever you already have that exists and copy it from there and paste it to text expander. So if you want, for example, if you want to get started using text expander, one of the tips that I give people a lot is to go look at your outbox in your email. And first try sorting by subject, and then try sorting it by recipient. Because there's an excellent chance that you send the same email a lot. And if you do, then that's a very easy way to find it. And then you can take one of those messages, copy the body of the text, paste it into text expander, and then maybe you want to use something where you have, like we talked about orders earlier, maybe you have an order email and you want to use somebody's name in it so that you can take out the name you did with Sherlock's letter. There's a first name field. You can call it first name, and when we expand this a bit, you notice it a pop-up where it has a box that said first name. So you can fill that in. So that way, no matter who you send it to, the snippet pops up, and so George ordered a thing from me, and so I put George's name in there. And then Jim ordered a thing from me, so I pop it up, and I can put Jim's name in there. And that way, it's customized. So Jim gets an email with his name on it, George gets an email with his name on it, but I'm still using text expander to create all the rest of the email.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Anybody else? Yes. Bob.
What assistance is built into the program to remember the abbreviations?
Well, that's a good question. And there's a couple of things that you can use. So the first is if you look up here, you can go to the filter, which is a search box, and you can start typing. So like I know I have a letter, right? And I want to use that letter. So if I start typing letter, you'll see what comes up, and you'll see that it's highlighted. So this one, for example, in the label, it says letter. And LETT is part of the abbreviation in these. And you'll see that there's a letter also in this label that I can see. So if I click on this one, you can see the letter that I'm using. Now, another thing that you can use, there's a second one. There's actually 3 ways to do this. The first one is to just have the text expander window open and type things in here. I know I have a snippet that's about 11. I know that I have a snippet that has, like, we'll say the blog address in it. So John Watson, you know, the new Sherlock series, he has a blog. If I type blog, you'll see that I get the result that I'm looking for here. So another thing that you can use is something that's called inline search. And the reason this one is cool is because when you use this, you're typing along, and I have a snippet, I don't remember what it is, it's for John's blog, and so if I use a hotkey that I programmed, you see that it pops up there. And it uses the last word as sort of an auto-suggest. And let's say that the one that I wanted was Sherlock's email example, right? I can even just keep my hand on the keyboard and use Command 4, which pops up the window for the letter. And then I can expand that in here if I want to. So let's try that one more time. So I need the address for the blog. I hit my hotkey, John's blog. That's the top result. I use Command 1, and it spits it out for me right there. The third way that you can use is one that I can't show you because I'm sharing the wrong screen, but Text Expander will put an icon in your menu bar. And you can click on that icon in the menu bar, and it gives you the same option here, sort of the inline search. It gives you a search box at the top, and then it will list your groups below. And you can navigate down to, I know it's in this snippet group, and come over here and pop it open if you want to do it that way as well. But one of the easiest is the inline search, and inline search is actually one of my favorite features. Because it makes it very easy for me to continue typing. And I don't have to take my hands off the keyboard, and I don't even have to leave the application that I'm typing in right now. I can just use the inline search, and it will pop up search results for me. I can choose the one I want, and then keep typing.
Any questions? Jerry?
What does this application cost and where do you get it?
The application is, the latest version is a subscription, and because you are here, you will get a discount on your first year. If you are a previous owner of any version of Text Expander, whether it's the iOS version, owned version 2 or version 3 years ago, or maybe you purchased it but never really got around to using it, but you still have a license. If you have any previous registration information, it would be half price, which is $20 a year, and it's $40 a year for a full price subscription. But everyone here who's interested in trying it out will get half off your first year, because I have a coupon code that I am sending to George that will give you 50% off your first year, so your first year will be $20.
So I'll send out the coupon code. And if you keep your serial number, they need to keep the serial number, right? To get 50 off in the future?
Yeah, you would, whatever your previous registration is, you would enter that as the coupon code, and then you get half off forever.
Yes, Jim.
Suppose I subscribed for a year and I created a couple of dozen snippets, and then I don't want to subscribe anymore. Do I lose those snippets?
You do not lose those snippets. You would be able to export them, but you won't be able to continue to expand them once your account runs out.
Because I get the impression that whether I'm using Pages or whether I'm using email or Word, Text Expander has to be running in the background. Is that true?
It does.
What was the answer?
It does.
It does.
It does. It does have to run in the background. Because the way Text Expander works is that it is it's listening for you to type something to be expanded. And if it's not running, it can't hear, I know that's not quite the right metaphor, but it can't hear what you're typing. And so it doesn't know that you've typed a snippet that you want to expand. So it won't work. That being said, you can make it so that you don't have to have the text expander window open in order for it to run. So I can close that, and I can still come up here and type blog or Q, and it will still spit out the address. I don't have to have that window open all the time. And you do have an option to hide the menu bar icon and the dock icon if you don't want them to show up on your computer. And it will still expand text for you in the background. It doesn't have to be obvious, and you don't have to have that window open, like I said, in order for it to work. So I've closed that window. You can tell it's not open anymore, but I can still use my hotkey, and I can still get options here. You'll see that all of those will show up, even though I don't have the window open, because Text Expander is still running.
Jim, Jim has another question.
I'm assuming that included with Pages or Word or emails, that these would work with text message too?
Yeah, this stuff works anyway.
Okay.
Those are the most common places that Text Expander gets used, but any place that you can use a paste command on iOS or use a copy and paste from the edit menu in an application, Text Expander will work there. So this works in any place. Like I've been showing you in TextEdit, it works in Mail, it works in Outlook, it works in Pages, it works in Microsoft Office document. Like I said, you may sometimes see a little bit of oddity if you're trying to use specific formatting sometimes, but sometimes not. So when it comes to, that's why I said most of the time you'll need to play text. But for the most part, those things should all work anywhere that anything can be pasted. So like I have an email address snippet that I use constantly on iOS and on macOS and on Windows. I use it all over the place. And the reason that I like it is because it's just a few letters that I have to type. And I know there's no typo, so if I'm filling out a form and I'm waiting for an email to come to me as a result of the form, I know there's no typo in my email. So the message is and I didn't have to spend a bunch of time typing it, and I didn't have to spend a bunch of time back and forth.
Marilyn?
Is iOS and OS one subscription or two?
You pay for the service, and then all of the apps are free. So there's no charge for the Mac version, the Windows version, or the iOS version. The thing I will tell you about the iOS version is that you do need to do a little bit of setup. And for example, if you're a person who has an external keyboard, like you have an iPad and you use a hardware keyboard with your iPad, a Bluetooth keyboard or the Sprint keyboard cover, there are certain apps that will listen for hardware keyboard, but not everything works 100%. Apple doesn't give the functionality for something like Text Expander to work because no third-party keyboard has access the way the system keyboard does. So we have a list of apps on our website that you can use with that extra keyboard on iOS. Like I said, there's no additional charge, which was your question, but just to make sure that you're able to use the stuff that you want to use, you want to make sure that if you're going to sit somewhere with your iPad and a keyboard, that you have that set up the way you want it.
Okay, Any other questions? Kelly, you say you do text support for TextExpander? Is that correct?
Yes, she said
I
yes.
do,
Okay. How long does that support, once you buy the app, or you buy the program, how long does that exist?
getting tech support?
Yeah.
For a really long time. We're on version 6 now, and I answered somebody about version 2 yesterday, literally yesterday. The answer was, I don't really know, because they were trying to use TextExpander version 2 off in Mojave. But we answer questions for anybody as best we can most of the time.
Okay.
So we always, and even the codes support it. Want to try it out and see what you think? That demo is also fully supported. So you can write in with, how do I make this work? Or I'm trying to do a particular thing and I can't quite get it working how I want to. And we also have videos on our website as well that you can use to sort of step through some of the different features. And we offer, and we do help out as much as we can. Like I said, sometimes the answer is, I can't really tell you that because it's not an answer that we have, but for the most part, we will always try our best to make sure that your question is answered.
Okay, Kelly, is there anything else you wanted to cover?
I don't think so. I did tell everybody about the coupon. So if you go to TextExpander.com and create an account, it will automatically be a 30-day test drive. And then when you want to set up payment information, George will have a coupon code to distribute for you that will get you half off your first year if you don't already have a previous license someplace.
All right, well, listen, thank you very much.
Thank you.